Welcome to Marlene's Atelier. In this lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to baste and blind stitch our hem. The blind stitch is a lovely stitch because it allows us to turn up the hem, whether it be on our sleeve or on our trousers or the hem of our skirt, and have the stitch be completely undetectable. I'm going to show you my techniques to get it right every time. That's what's happening today in the atelier.
All right, the first thing we need to do is get some basting thread here, yeah? Now, whenever you can, to the best of your ability, when you're basting or sewing, or especially when you're holding something in your hand, as we are here, make sure that your edge, okay, is always facing away from you. You see that? Because it makes it so much easier to control what you're doing. All right, so what I'm doing here now is I'm folding up the length right where we basted here. Okay, so this is my guideline that's helping hold the lining that we put in down so it doesn't curl up, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm pinching my basting stitch together, okay? And I'm basting pretty close to that edge. I'm only coming about a half a centimeter off of the edge of the length, okay? You see that? And get this flat so you can see here what I'm doing, all right? So I folded it up and I'm coming back about a half centimeter off of the edge of the fold, and I'm just basting. And, you know, my basting stitches are maybe 1.5, 2 centimeters, okay? That's it. No, you don't want these basting stitches to be really big and long, because you want this to sit really nice and flat. We want a really crisp hemline, okay? And so this is the way to get it, by basting, keeping our basting stitches smaller and closer together. I'm only about a half centimeter between each stitch, okay? And coming real close, about a half centimeter off the edge, is what gives you that really nice, crisp, clean. Not only that, but when you put the lining support in, I'm telling you, it makes such a difference. It just makes the edge of anything, whether it be your lining, the vent, the length, the vent, your sleeve, anywhere that you put that lining support, it just really helps to create a very beautiful, crisp, clean edge. And that's why we do it. So that the garment lasts for a long, long time. Yeah? So here we're going to baste. And again, what I'm doing here is I'm doing a running baste, okay? So I'm doing like 2 or 3 stitches at one time instead of one stitch pull. See, 1, 2, 3. A real quick. Yeah? And that is what helps us to work efficiently. Trying to keep the skirt out of the way so you can see what I'm up to here, yeah? And so as I work, my non-working hand here is smoothing and turning the edge down, and my working hand is coming right up behind it and securing that edge. Okay? Okay. Perfect. Round and round we go, all around the bottom of the skirt. Now, when we blind stitch, okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful thing, because the blind stitch is undetectable if you do it correctly. And I'm going to show you how to do it right, okay? But it is undetectable. There are machines. There is actually a blind stitch machine out there that will do the same thing in probably half the amount of time, a second of the time, okay? A second of the time. My good friend, Goodall, is a tailor in Chicago, and he has a blind stitch machine. And we always get into arguments about why I do it by hand. And he's from Russia, so he yells at me in Russian. But that's okay. I love Goodall. He's been my friend for a long, long time. So he can yell at me as much as he wants. Yeah, and he's an amazing tailor. Amazing. He's like a 4th generation tailor, which is so cool. All right, so we're just about done here, okay? Oops. Oh, goodness gracious. We'll just get a little bit more thread. I can't even be bothered trying to thread that again. Makes me nuts. Okay, here. Okay. Less time to cut and thread than it does trying to get that bad boy back on. All right, so we're done. Just about another stitch or two here. Okay. And we want to make sure, I've already gone through to make sure once that I didn't have any tightness, okay? But we'll do it again just to make sure that there is no tightness here. All right. All right, we'll just tack that off here. Beautiful. Okay, so here before we tack it, we'll just go all the way back and give this a nice smoothing. Get all the tightness out of the bottom. There we go. That's good. Very good. Okay. All right, so now what we want to do next, let's get rid of that. Okay. All right. What I want to do now, before I go in and blind stitch, is I want to press this out really, really nice, okay? I think we can do that right here on the baby. All right. In fact, I'll press it this way so you can see it. All right. So, of course, because I'm working on the outside, I'm going to use my press cloth. Okay. Press, press, press. Get that nice crisp line in there before we start to blind stitch. Make sure it's flat as a pancake. Okay? Flat as a pancake. I love it. I love it. Oh, look at that. Look at that edge. Just gorgeous. Got way too much stuff right under my feet here. It seems like no matter how much room I have, okay, I never have enough. I mean, I have two 30-inch by 96-inch tables here, and still not enough room. I'm knocking stuff over. I guess that's just human, isn't it? Yeah? Just lovely. All right. So we'll get this, and then we're going to start blind stitching. Now, obviously, I am not going to ask you to sit here and watch me blind stitch this entire skirt length, okay? There's a couple things that I want you to do because, again, we're working on camera, and as hard as I try to set these camera angles up so you can see what I'm doing, okay, there obviously are times where you're not going to be able to see because it's very detailed and close. So I would ask you to go back to your hand stitches course and refresh your memory on how to do the blind stitch if you don't remember. Because here it's going to be very, very difficult for you to see it, okay? I'm going to tell you right now. Now what I can do is I can show you how to do this stitch with some white thread, okay? Obviously doing that, for me, it's not going to be permanent, but at least you'll get an idea of what I'm doing. So let's do that. And then I can always take it out and do it again. All right, so this is what I want you to do. First of all, okay, let me turn it this way. These little edges here around the vent, okay, we don't want to keep those edges sitting there like that because you're going to see them from the outside, okay? So let me turn it this way so you can see this edge right here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this edge in like this, and I'm just going to baste it down, okay? Because I don't want to see this on the outside of my garment, okay? So I'm just going to baste it down like this. So all I've done is I turned the edge of this in and folded it right up against where my stitches are. Remember my hem, where I just stitched my hem up a 1/2 centimeter, okay? So I just turned it like that. And I have to give myself room to blind stitch that down. So I'm going to come down a little bit here. And just baste this, coming down just a couple centimeters. Okay? Like so. Just to hold it. All right. Very good. Okay, there's that side. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm just going to fold this in like so and make like a little triangle. You see? Just a little triangle. So that we don't see it. And just baste it down. There we go. Just a couple stitches just to hold it. Don't come all the way up to the edge though, because if you do, you won't be able to turn the edge to blind stitch, okay? We want to be able to blind stitch. All right. I'm just having a day with my basting stitches. All right, here we go. Last one. All right, done and done. Okay, so there's that. And just for good measure, I'm just going to hit that with a little bit of water just to give it a nice crease and hold it down. Yeah? Just to give it a little bit of a crease and hold it down. Perfect. That's all we need to do. And maybe while we're here, we can get rid of some of this lining. God bless. Right? Look at this. What a mess. It just makes life miserable. Why? Why did I have to choose a lining that would do that? I don't know. Just dumb luck. Hopefully your lining is not as bad. Not all lining is that bad. That is really, some of the words. It's a beautiful lining, but it really has a lot of silt. I don't like it. Okay. All right, so now we got that taken care of. So that looks nice, okay? Now, when you go to blind stitch, a couple of things. And if you want to give yourself a guideline, you can, all right? I'm going to come down off of this edge. Let's see here. About 1.5 centimeters, okay? So if I came in with just a piece of chalk and just made a little guideline for myself, 1.5 centimeters, okay? I want to have enough to turn down, okay? Because if I only did 1 centimeter, I really wouldn't have enough. But I don't want to come down so far that, we could get caught when we're putting the skirt on. I don't want a big overlap like this. I just want to come down slightly. So 1.5 centimeters looks good, okay? That's number one. The second thing is we talked about using a smaller needle than a basting needle, all right? So here, to do my blind stitch, I'm going to use a medium size. I'm not going to be teeny weeny, all right? And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some machine thread because it's very thin, all right? Some machine thread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this machine thread through some beeswax, all right? Now, why do I do that? For a couple of reasons. First of all, and we're going to press it, okay? Which is why my baby looks the way it does, because it has beeswax all over it. All right, so I do this for a couple of reasons. One, it does give a bit of strength to the thread, right? It's very thin. But the other thing that it does is it prevents the thread from tangling up because it's so thin. It has a way of doing that. It has a way of tangling. It's very annoying. And we don't want to have a bunch of knots and so forth, right? We're just trying to get some beautiful blind stitches in here, okay? So that's that. Now, I told you I'd use a little bit of white thread to start, okay? So I'm just going to use a little bit of this basting thread to get you started. But again, you're going to have to go in if you don't remember how to do this blind stitch, okay? Because it's so small and detailed. You're really not going to be able to see what I'm doing, okay? But on the hand stitch class, you can because I'm like right there, all right? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to come in. I folded this down right at that 1.5 centimeters. And if you want to just take it like, what you can do to make life really simple is if you want to take it in like small doses here, just pin it. Put a pin there to help you, okay? So you get it nice and even. And then what I'm going to do here, where I've got some overlap here, I've got some inlay from my vent, okay? I'm just going to come in and I'm going to double tack this on the fold. You see that? Just going to double tack this on the fold. Don't make it real tight because we have to unfold this and press it, okay? And then I'll come in here and come forward just a little bit here and pick up just the inlay. I'm not picking up anything else underneath that, just the inlay, okay? Just the inlay. All right, now I'm going to come forward a couple centimeters, and I'm going to pick up a couple fibers. I mean, this is what I'm saying, you can't even see it. A couple fibers from the outside of the skirt. Couple fibers, just picking them up in my needle, okay? And then I'm coming directly into the fold, like so. All right? And don't pull this real tight, all right? Just let it lay there. And again, I'm going to come forward another couple centimeters, pick up a couple of fibers, okay? And I'm just going to continue in that fashion all the way around my skirt, okay? Now, if I turn this over on the outside, I can't even see that, which is good news, okay? So even using white thread, that's how small amount of thread you're picking up. It's literally like fibers, not threads, okay? So, and then you can see, as you work your way around, you don't want this to be tight like that. If I open this up, I don't want this to look like that, okay? I want it to be nice and loose because we're going to come out and we're going to press all this, all right? So I'm going to work my way around this whole skirt, just doing about 2 centimeters apart. And again, let me do a few more stitches so you can see, okay? So you can see what I'm doing. If you look at how I'm holding my cloth, I've got my non-working hand underneath and the raw edge is facing my left. I'm right-handed, okay? So my non-working hand is supporting the fold, okay? So that my working hand can come in and pick up a fiber and come right into that fold, okay? Now, how far in am I coming? Probably about a half centimeter or so into the fold, okay? And again, I'm moving forward, picking up just a little bit of fiber, coming about a half centimeter into the fold, maybe just a tiny bit more, okay? And working my way all the way around. Logically, if you think about it, if I gave myself 1.5 centimeters to fold back, I'm coming in off the edge probably about half of that, okay? Just about half of that. So I'm going to keep going here. So you can see with some white thread, at least the stitches in the fold, okay? And then again, when I'm all done and I open this up, I don't want this to be tight, okay? Because I have to press all this out real nice like this. So we'll press it all out, okay? So you go in, I'm going to take these stitches out. I'm going to go in and blind stitch all the way around, okay? And when we come back, we'll take a look at how we did. We'll give it a press. All right, so I got my beautiful blind stitching done all around the bottom of my skirt here at the hem. And now what we want to do, okay, to finish this up is to give this a nice press and have a look and see how well we did, okay? Now, even though we're working on the inside of the garment, I still like to use my press cloth because we are working with inlay, and I certainly wouldn't want to do anything to damage the inlay excuse me, God forbid, you know, we wanted to take and bring the length down for some reason, we wouldn't want it to be all damaged, right? So I like to use the press cloth on this area. So all I'm doing is just coming in and turning back that 1.5 centimeters that I used as a guideline. The other thing I should mention, and I didn't before I went off on my own there, is when you get to a seam, your side seams, and you have this bit of inlay here, okay? It's a really good idea to double tack your blind stitch at this point. It gives a little bit more, what can you say? It makes it a little bit more tougher for it to fall down, right? It secures it, is the word I'm looking for, a little bit more. So as you go and blind stitch, when you get to those areas, definitely go in there and tack it down a little bit more for security. And I'm just doing it in the inlay. I'm obviously not going through to the outside of the skirt, okay? So we'll just go in and finish pressing all this nicely. The other thing we can do once we have all of this pressed is we can take all of our basting stitches out because we don't need them anymore. That is one of the most satisfying things for me about tailoring, is being able to take all those little mark stitches and baste stitches out as I finish something or complete something. It's very satisfying. It's like, oh, I got that done, you know? It's really nice. All right, we'll just work our way. Around and around we go. Again, here at the side seam, I secured that, tacked it off a couple of times. All right. Press, press, press. All right. And then here, little sizzle from the iron. I love that. Love that little sizzle. Okay, just right here on the end. Just want to make sure that that's nice and flat. All right. Yes, that looks very, very lovely. Very, very lovely. Just get this little area here. It's got a little riled up. Let's flatten that out. Excuse me. Okay. Lovely. A little bit here. So if I have a little stitch that's a little tight, just go over it just a tiny bit. All righty. Okay. So now we can turn our lovely skirt right side out and look at our beautiful hem. And as you can see, it's beautiful, very invisible. We don't see any stitches at all. It's got a beautiful, crisp length there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pull out my basting stitches that I put in. All right. And there's that. And then here at the bottom. So to do this very quickly, as long as you have one long stitch the whole way, I think I do. Oh no, here. I did have to, there we go. Here at the bottom, I think. I don't think I had to tack it more than once. Just pull it. You know, sometimes I really try to look cool and it just doesn't work out ever. All right. It just doesn't work out. I don't know why. I try to look really cool, but I'm not. Okay. All right, so there's that. And then we just have these mark stitches, but again, I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me pull out all these little mark stitches. You get the point. So we want to get those all out, okay? So we've taken the skirt at this point as far as we can, okay? We've taken the skirt as far as we can at this point. The next thing that we need to do before we put the waistband on is we have to put the lining together, all right? That's as far as we can go with the skirt until we get the lining in.
Thank you for joining me in the atelier today. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please do like, share, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. And in my next lesson, just like we brought the front and back of the skirt together, we have to do the same thing with our lining. So I'm going to show you how to baste and machine your lining so you get it right every time. You won't want to miss that lesson. That's what's happening next time in the atelier.